Carel De Jager is in the house, everyone. And what a absolute pleasure it is to have you, Carel. And thank you for agreeing to come on my podcast.
It's
so
always
Carel,
a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you, Dave.
He has to say that. He's such a nice guy. So everyone, this is Carel. I've had the privilege and joy of walking alongside him, journeying a little bit in his amazing adventure he's going to tell us about. So as a friend, he's someone that I coach, and it's just been a really great journey. I think we've been working together for 18 months, if not more, I would say. Carel, would you agree? It's somewhere around.
It's at least 18 months.
Yeah,
feels like a lifetime though.
They always say that. So, Carel, why don't you tell everybody who you are, what you do, and we'll pick it up from there. Go for it.
I was originally an engineer. I started chemical engineering. I started my career on a power station with the company that shall not be named in South Africa. And, I discovered blockchain technology back in about a decade ago. And since I discovered it, it immediately became a massive passion of mine. And I just knew that blockchain and crypto and Bitcoin, those kind of things has to be my future. So I married the two, the engineering side, the blockchain side. And I've always had just an interest and a love for money, not just to spend it and accumulate it, but also the history and the theory behind it, macroeconomics, that kind of stuff. So I built a career out of all of these kind of passions, doing it, the energy side of it. So since about 2017, that's been my career. I've built a company called Silver Sixpence that was born around about COVID or thereabout, and it became a serious company in 2022. Just prior to Sixpence, I did a bunch of other things like training and product development and that kind of stuff. But Silver Sixpence, having been born just after COVID, and became a serious company in 2022. In 2022, Mazars approached us, the auditing firm, and they said they have a problem. They need to do proof of reserves on blockchain assets. And can we do it? And so at that time, Silver Sixpence was a bit all over the place. It was just developing blockchain-related software. We were a small company, 2 or 3 people. But when Mazars approached me, I said, yeah, sure, we can do it. Give us about 6 months or so, and then, we'll build you that product. Not having any clue what proof of reserves might be. This was on a Thursday afternoon. Our partner, the contact person at the firm, he said, no, I need it by Monday morning. So we jumped onto it. Daniel, co-founder, an extremely, extremely smart guy that's very camera shy. You won't be so lucky to get him on a podcast. But
we'll try.
We jumped onto it, and we built a whole protocol and an implementation thereof. And Monday morning it was ready. And in that following week, Mazars proceeded to use our software and implement it on the world's largest exchanges, Binance, KuCoin, and Crypto.com, and basically used our software to account for $1 trillion in assets.
And this is before AI and all of that, right? Before you did any vibe coding or those kind of days, right?
Yeah. Vibe coding wasn't the thing back then. So, and to this day, that was the birth of Silver Sixpence as it is. We were lucky to soon thereafter, because this made headlines all across the world, and soon thereafter, we were lucky to get a development grant from a large company called Coinbase in the US. That gave us enough cash flow to carry us for a couple of years, grow the team, build and build a serious business. To this day, those are still our clients, and we've pivoted along the way a couple of times. Not big pivots, but slight pivots to where we are today, which is a company that focuses on blockchain analytics and intelligence and data. And we build all kinds of crypto-related products, banks, auditors, regulators, and exchanges, and that kind of thing. And
love it.
We're about 10 full-time developers now.
Yeah.
And a number of part-time people, advisors. I'd say the broader team is about 20.
Wow. Why did you call it Silver Sixpence?
I have no idea. One day I'm going to have a nice story about it, but not today. It's not there yet. So maybe I must go to the AI. I've never actually asked it that question. But to be honest, that was just the name that our accountant picked the day he filed the subsidy documents.
Wow.
And I said, that's a cool name.
That's not uncommon. A lot of names happen because they just went to list. Oh, we'll just pick that one. But
yeah, exactly.
Sixpence, Silver Sixpence. I love it. I think that's a brilliant name. I love it.
I'm
So,
not a very namey guy. I'm not a graphics guy. I'm an extreme engineer. Like
yeah, you,
engineer black or white, that give me code to read and stuff like that. All the rest, the processes and the procedures and the name, that's someone else's responsibility. I don't take, that.
I love it. I love it. So here's a question for you. So you come over, well, I've known you. You're a very driven person. In fact, you're one of the most driven people I've coached, I think. But yet you seem to combine a very competitive streak with a very analytical one, right? You combine these two. Where does this drive come from? Why are you so driven, Carl?
That's actually something you must answer, Dave. You've taught me that, to be honest. When you and I started working together, you unpacked a lot about me and things that I've never really known, or at least I wasn't aware of those kind of things. I've never done that level of introspection. I think I'm someone that knows myself quite well. But after meeting you, Dave, I actually realized that there's still a lot to be learned. With this journey that you and I took over the last 18 plus months, I've learned that yes, I am someone that is extremely competitive, being to such an extent where it can be unhealthy. Not only competitive but driven as well. I kind of get obsessed about things when I put my mind to it. As I've said, Silver Sixpence used to be a little bit all over the place. It used to be a sideline project. And that kind of drive and things like that wasn't there at that time. But when it became a serious company, and that wasn't even in 2022, I'd say 2023, 24, that's when I started realizing that this is something that I can potentially win in. And that's a competitive streak that comes through. Up until that time, I wasn't really in the ring. But after that, I decided to get into the ring and give it a shot. And also, having learned that through you, Dave, is that when I do get into a ring, I only get in when I know I'm going to win. And I don't get out until I've won, to the frustration of everyone around me, including the people that work with me, my family, my friends, everyone. I am completely obsessed with this company, and I have goals in my mind. And unfortunately, as unhealthy as it is, nothing will stop in my way. I will walk out of this victorious.
Do you? And it's absolutely true. I mean, he's not joking. Those who are listening, do you though? Do you think this is something that, if you really want to be a real entrepreneur, I mean, the Elon Musks and all of the other guys that I know that you listen to, etc. It seems that they're also the same, right? Highly driven, highly competitive. Is this the prerequisite for success? Do you think? Do you think that actually, if you want to build something that you have to be like this?
Actually, no, not at all. You really don't need to. And I wouldn't even recommend it, to be honest. I think that in today's day and age, with AI and technology that we have at our disposal, it's easier than ever to build a successful business. But and you don't necessarily have to go all out. As you have to set your mind to it. You have to be driven. You have to have self-discipline. All of that. But I'm not talking about all of those things. I'm talking about being absolutely obsessed with something. And like the Elon Musks of the world, Sam Altmans, and unfortunately myself as well. And if you want to be the best in the world, then I think it is necessary. But you don't have to be the best in the world in order to be successful. In fact, I think the vast majority of people are more than happy to, live a comfortable life, to work 40 hours or less per week, to have a nice work-life balance, to go on holiday 3 times a year, have 2.4 children, be the average successful guy. And you don't have to, you don't have to sacrifice so many things these days in order to achieve that. Unfortunately, myself, I struggle with it.
But that's what sets you apart, though. And this is the point. A lot of people do try to be entrepreneurs when they're not actually entrepreneurs. It probably would have been better for them just to go on and get a really good job and being successful in the job. And I do find a lot of people fail because they somehow feel the only way to prove themselves is to go start a business. But I do believe that there is a uniqueness about key entrepreneurs, and you are definitely in that box. Driven, competitive. And I love the fact you say you really will only jump in something you're going to win, and then you'll stay there until you win. I think that's a great line, by the way, for anyone looking to start a business. Do you think that, these strength finder profiles that we've done together, do you think that should be, and actually interesting, you've done this on your staff as well, haven't you?
Mm, mm.
You've profiled. Tell me a little bit more about that. How has it helped you building your team with these profiling tools, etc.?
Yeah, it's been incredibly valuable. And I don't think that our team would have been intact was it not for that. There was definitely a lot of resistance and the way that we work things. I've learned a lot of things
Mm,
about my co-founder, Daniel, about our other employees, Jock and, Creon and so on. I've learned so many things about them. And the way that they work isn't necessarily the way that I work,
mm,
and the way that things need to be explained and the way that we need to talk to each other. Since we've become aware of these strengths, and with your assistance, it's been a game changer for us. We've accelerated the way that we work together as a team, and overall our business have just gone into a new direction in a very, very positive way. And I'd like to add something that wasn't difficult at all. It's not
mm,
something that you need to go and practice for hours, or like, it's just small little things that you need to keep in mind, and it
mm.
it comes naturally. Once you know those things, you remember, oh, okay, so this person is extremely analytical, for example.
Yes.
I'm an ideas person, and I don't care if something is not perfect. I get very, very excited at the beginning, and then the excitement resides, and and then as soon as that excitement is down a little, I get on to the next thing, which is exciting to me. And other people are not like that. I learned that, and I have to remember that I cannot just throw my excitement at the tea every single day,
Mm,
the stuff that makes me exciting, because it's not exciting to them, it's overwhelming to them. And as soon as I realized that, it was so easy. It was a small little fix. I just had to say 20% less than what normally do. And we were on a much better path. And overall,
yeah.
our execution improved significantly.
I love that. And yeah, it's just so good to hear you talk about it from your side of the fence there. Yeah, I've always said it's who before what, something that you've heard me repeat many, many times. And we are so fixed on what we're trying to do, we forget that we first are human beings. It's who are we? And the more we understand who we are, the more we're able to actually play as a team, right? And to find where the team fits best and works. And also we define our own limitations, right? We know where we work best and where we don't work. Yeah, understanding who your team is, and it sounds like it's made a big difference for you as well. Let's talk about the business. So you've spoken about feeling like you're in a race against time, especially with AI changing economics and software, and how you could do things so much more quickly than you did before. What feels most urgent to you right now in terms of your business? Where's the urgency in terms of your business right
Our business is a special case. We are building a mountain of intellectual property, of software code and all that. And
now?
there's a huge lead time between building that software and deploying it in a way that it can actually generate revenue.
Mm,
Um, it's, I'd say, 3 years. That's the problem. That's about as long how long it took us, to get to a point where this thing that we've built started generating revenue. Now, normally you de-risk yourself, you'd go and raise funds, and someone else takes on that three-year execution risk. We didn't do it that way because I was also
mm,
inexperienced. I didn't really know how to raise funds. I tried it a couple of times, but not nearly enough. I didn't practice enough. I was way too focused on product and not enough
right.
on capitalizing the business. I was just deep, deep, deep into product. So we didn't go that route. It would have been much easier if we did. And then, where we are today is we've spent now this 3 years on developing the IP. And someone could potentially come and use AI. Not now. I think our IP is valuable and it's complex, but who knows? In a year or 2 years or 5 years from now, someone can
Mm,
come and he can develop all of that 3 years of work with a simple prompt that he puts into ChatGPT. And that's incredibly scary, right? It's incredibly scary to think about that. That's probably our biggest risk as well. Software as a service is a dying industry overall
right.
because of AI,
Right.
and we have to keep an eye on that. We have to be super users of AI. The way to fix it, the way to mitigate this risk in the software world
Mm,
is to use AI as much as you can. Burn those tokens, burn thousands of rands of them, because every rand that you potentially spend on AI, if you use it right, you're gonna get 10 rand or 100 rand of value out of it. You have
yeah.
to
Yeah.
you have to use it in the right way, of course, and not abuse it.
Yeah.
But you have to, or be reckless about it. But you can do that, which means
But that,
that the way that you
yeah,
survive is you spend as much as you can on it.
this is a very interesting point, especially because you intimately know AI. So for anyone running a business right now, it doesn't matter what they're in. Your recommendation is get ahead of the game and invest heavily in AI. That's what I'm hearing you say, right?
Yeah, if you're still using free models, unfortunately, you're running a massive risk. I would
Mm,
say any business, I'd go so far as to say a plumbing business, needs
mm,
to
mm,
use AI and it needs to have a
mm,
paid model, whether that's Claude
mm,
or ChatGPT or anything like that, because you can run your finances and your administration through it. And you can create bots that watches your email, whatever. So even if you are not natively software, if you're far removed from that, you should be investing in a paid subscription in one of those models, and you should use the very best model. In ChatGPT,
mm.
for example, that's Extended Pro. You should do that. And even if it doesn't bring you any value today, because I do see this a lot, I see people that may have used it 6 months or 12 months ago. They say, I tried it, didn't work for me,
Mm.
it was average, whatever. Those models improve at such an immense pace that if you go back today, it's going to be something completely different from what it was 6 months or 12 months ago.
I mean, I could testify to that. It's changing on a month by month basis now. I mean, I use an agent in ChatGPT to help me with profiling tools. For instance, if I would do a profile, it would take me a couple hours to work up a proper profile. Now I can do it in minutes, right? But there's also an interesting thing here, though. There is also a human side that can't be reproduced. There's
Mm.
something unique about you, Carl, that is the real value add to your business. I don't think the value it sits in your software as much as it sits in you as a person. But do you want to speak a bit about that? How do you differentiate yourself from the software so that the software is no longer the risk? If you understand the value being in you, talk to us about that.
Yeah, I think it takes a little bit of forecasting or predicting what will happen in the future. And if you do that, you have to ask yourself, what does value mean? What is valuable in
Good
future in
question.
the age of AI? And entrepreneurial skills are very, very valuable. It will probably increase significantly
Mm.
in future. Real human experiences will become a very, very scarce asset, a very scarce thing. Competing for other people's time. Time, unfortunately, can never be extended, not yet. So we all have limited time on this earth, and the way we do spend that
Yeah.
is probably where the biggest value will be in future. And then a little bit of a personal brand, because it goes hand in hand with all of this. I would recommend that to people is, put yourself out there, write some not AI stuff, but write some human stuff, share your experiences, build a little bit of a social media following. Those kind of things I think would pay off exponentially in future.
Mm.
If you're just going to go through the normal schooling and education system, which was designed for the factory worker. It's like you follow a system and you produce an output, very predictable output, because you're going to go through a predictable process. Unfortunately, those are the exact things that AI
Yeah.
will completely obliterate. And
Yeah.
so that's what you have to watch out for.
I love it. And I think that does go to understanding what is the intrinsic value that you as an individual bring. And that becomes your brand, right? Making sure that that's what you focus on and not the output, it's the outcome of your uniqueness is really what's really important here. That's really, really good. I like that. You've described a tension between wanting to win big, but also being deeply aware of risk. How does that tension show up when you go to make decisions? How do you make decisions? Because you know that you want to win this thing, but there's also a lot of risk. How do you make those decisions then, Carl?
Yeah, I think it's very, very tough. It's tough to navigate that. On the one side, I am a risk taker. On the other side, due to circumstances and the way that I've grown up and all of that, I've also seen the hard side of life. I kind of averse to going to ever putting myself in a situation where I might go back to that side.
Mm,
Uh,
mm,
and and it is rightfully, as you've mentioned there, it is a tension. That tension may also be a catalyst to some of the drive that I have, and I have to
yeah.
carefully manage that. Looking back in hindsight, it's not the current circumstances, unfortunately, but in hindsight, I should have outsourced that risk to someone else. Like I said, raised capital, not put all of my chips into the middle of the table and have it all leveraged according to myself, because I've burnt the boats, like properly burnt the boats. There's no turning back. I'm all in, personally, and I wish I didn't do it that way because of this tension. Because then this tension would have been relieved a little bit. So I think there's probably a right way to build the kind of business that I've built, and to structure it. I have not done it that way. It's not a train smash. Everything can still work. I can still make it work, and I am going to. It is just it's it's like playing Russian roulette, right? Which is not recommended.
It's not recommended. It's interesting. Let's talk about this because again, funding a business is huge, right? And what you've done is you've self-funded, right? You poured your own resources in. I know you have, and so you've just poured and poured and poured and poured and poured in. And you are saying, if I understand it rightly, if you had your go again, you wouldn't do that. You would put some in, but you would go to finding capital elsewhere. How quickly would you recommend someone to do that? So if someone's starting off, let's say they've got the first 6 months worth of salary sorted. Let's talk about that. What advice would you give to someone who needs to fund their business?
I think 6 months is probably, it's like a good starting point. This is a bit of a balance. You cannot go and raise capital if you don't have anything, because then you're going to get your shareholding or equity would be diluted to decimals, which is not what you want. You need to show some track record. You need to show some execution, and for that you need to pull some strings. But be close to your capital allocators, your investors, and so on from day one. And go to them when you have something to show, when you have a pilot, when you have a proof of concept, when you have something to show, you have then and you've put in some skin into the game. Then it's a good point at that point to offset some of that risk, offload some of that risk to someone else, to someone who can actually afford it. We're living in the day of age where there's no shortage in it. There's a massive amount of capital out there. And people that's really driven, people that have some skin on the game, people that have shown that they have a track record. It's not difficult for those people to get capital. I'm not a guy to tell you that because I didn't do it. But that's in hindsight, the right way. And if I ever do it again, that's how I do it.
Yeah, but you do attract capital. You do attract. I mean, I know you have, and you have been very successful in getting people interested and wanting to put their money in the business, right? And I think that goes beyond just how brilliant the idea is. I think that goes a lot to what you do and how you sell yourself, and I think that's true as well, right? People put too much weight in the product, but people buy people. They don't buy product. They buy you, and you come over as someone that is very believable, someone very investable. Do you do that intentionally? Have you had to work hard on how you present yourself in a meeting to funders? Is this something that you've worked on?
Yeah, and it takes you a lot of practice. And maybe this is not tip. It's like, don't go to your tier one investors first. That was another mistake I made, right? So you go, you know who you want your investors to be. So you put yourself out there and you go to them first, obviously. You create your deck, you're ready to pitch and whatever. And you're going to pitch to YC or ACZ or whatever. Those are like my tier one in my industry. Those are the premier prestige investors. And you go out there and you get a meeting or two and you just, botch it up completely. And that's to be expected. Every first pitch will be. It's only around pitch 5 or 6 where you're starting to get the message, and you get it. You got 4 or 5 meetings with some good feedback and so on. So a little general tip: save your tier one investors for somewhere around at least 5.
Don't practice
number 5
on them.
to 10. Yeah. Don't practice on them. Practice on someone else.
That's really good advice. It's advice that I've also understood is, when in my previous company, we had to raise hundreds of millions of rands, and yeah, you only get one go at this in pitching in front of those kind of guys. You only get one go, and so practice makes perfect. And focus on your delivery and focus on who you are, not just what you're selling, because investors buy into who you are, not what you're doing. Yeah, I really love this. So we're thinking about you scaling this business, and we're thinking about lots of other business guys out there that are in What happens when, and I know you face this yourself, when you've got a team, but the team's just not performing for whatever reason. The deadlines are slipping, the scope is not there. What do you do? How do you motivate your team? How do you get your team, to focus on what's needed to be done and get it across the line? How do you do that?
So I think it's knowing your team very well. That's key, and realizing that not everyone acts the same way as you do or as I do. Like I thrive under extreme pressure. I like the adrenaline. I like the idea of staying up late at night, chasing a very, very big deadline, chasing a hard client. Like I said, that doesn't excite everyone. I like crisis mode. Elon as well. Elon, he likes crisis mode. And that's why as soon as a business starts becoming a little bit successful, he'll start something new that's like absolutely crazy. Yeah, I want to go to Mars. As soon as he has the rocket going to Mars, I can guarantee you he's finding a new galaxy to go to, right? So, like, because he just wants to do something crazy, and that's what drives him. The problem is that that's not what necessarily drives the team. And being aware of that, and not trying to enforce people, not crisis onto people. I've tried it. I've realized that getting the team to that same level of urgency requires a different process for everyone. There's not a one cut or what's the right word?
One-stop
Yeah,
shop.
like a one-stop shop. The same pattern or flavor doesn't work on everyone, and it's knowing that, it's spending one-on-one time with the team members, really getting to know them deeply, investing some of your own time. I know as founder, as CEO of a company, your time is extremely limited. Everything is at opportunity cost, right? But one of the best way to invest that time is to really spend one-on-one time with the individual team members, because that's what really motivates them and get them on the level where you want.
And that's where the leverage is, right? The only way you can leverage you is by leveraging it through your team. And I love that. Understanding that they are individuals and each person needs their own approach. And the more you understand about your team, the more you can leverage your team, right? And I have to say, Carl, and I'll say this to all those listening, you have brought massive amounts of urgency into your team. And yet the team has never broken. They've never fractured because of it. In fact, you were able to bring them together under immense strain. I mean, and it's been a testimony to your vision and your drive and your leadership. And I think anyone that's in entrepreneurship needs vision, drive, and leadership, right? To do that, which is interesting. Well, maybe you could also give us one comment on the quality of the people you hire, because I know Elon Musk and others and Steve Jobs have said, he'll only hire AAA people because a AAA person will do 100 times what an A type person would do and 1,000 times what a B type person would do. Talk to me about how do you know who do you hire? How do you know who the right people are?
Yeah, I mean, it might sound harsh. We don't really hire juniors anymore. Maybe also in the age of AI and so on, it's like we hire also the best of the best. We're all very, very senior. I think the experience that we have in our team is unmatched. And I don't have a lot of experience in hiring, to be brutally honest with you. The team that I had, I've never hired someone after an interview. It's talking to people, it's meeting them at conferences, meeting them at the right spaces. It's word of mouth. It's very, very, very trust based. The way that we operate at Sixpence is it's like our people, we don't have a lot of processes and procedures, and that's another thing. A lot of people would look at it as we're working on it, right? But like it's very, very trust based. We're all very, very mission driven. We're setting an example for each other. I'm in the trenches. I'm building product with the rest of the people. I'm not someone that pushes my pen and drives down administration and just focuses on that. I like to inspire, and maybe to your previous point, we've never had anyone that resigns. We've never parted way with anyone, and so it's a very close system, and like we're all extremely close, and we're all on the same mission, and that mission is clear. We're making that mission, or at least the vision. We're making the vision extremely clear and figuring out the mission together.
I love that. That I think is the glue, right? Because when your vision is clear, when you can see, and sometimes you see things that no one else can see, and that's the real definition of vision. showing others what they can't see, but it unites a team, right? And then they'll go to war for you, because we've spoken about it in that terms of when we, what is the victory that we wanting? What is the war that we're fighting? And those are the language of an entrepreneurial team. I know our time is gone. I've got one last question for you. So it's a little bit of a deep one, but you can answer it any way you like. So here's the question. I'm going to read it from my screen here. If Silver Sixpence works the way you hope it does, what kind of founder do you hope this journey will turn you into?
Yeah. So, first of all, a very rich one, and an experienced one, but also, one that can be trusted. I also have the benefit. I'm in the lucky position to also work on another business with some extremely experienced founders that are co-founders of mine, which that business is called Bitmac. It's a Bitcoin mining company, and we're raising billions of dollars, and we have billionaires, people that have exited multiple businesses as co-founders. And I learn a lot from them. And one of the things that I learned from them is you can trust them. Sometimes you may think that other people that join your team or that join you in some sort of a venture may play some 5G chess or whatever. But you know what? Successful people don't do that. They don't have ulterior motives. They straight. You can trust them. You can take them on their word. Don't quote me on this, but a contract is useless because it's the character that speaks for them. And if you reach that level of success, it's maybe not universal, but I'd say in most cases, it means that you are a honorable, trustworthy person. You keep your word. You value friendships and connections between people. So I've learned a lot in those type of relationships. And that's the type of founder that I'm also hoping to be, is one that inspires. You know what? Let me put it this way. If the Silver Sixpence exits and we are successful, I'd know whether I was a good founder or not if I can start the next company and my entire team joins me in that. And then I know I've done something right. If they all say no, this was a good run. Thank you for my payout, but I'll go on my own from this. I'm not joining you in anything new. Then I know I've failed.
I love that. So, I love that, Carel. That's profound. That is profound. So when you exit, if I know I'll succeed because my team want to come with me and do it all over again, basically, right?
Exactly.
It's what I call the bookshelf test. A lot of people say, "Oh, look at this fantastic bookshelf I put up," but the minute they walk away, it falls to the ground. But what success is that myself and my team can walk away and it remains and carries on and gets better and better and better because you've built away from yourself rather than towards yourself. Man, Carel, you are an inspiration, and I know you inspire many, many people. You're all over social media as well, and it's a privilege to do the journey with you. And I know we've got a long road to go yet. And I hope for those listening that they will also draw some encouragement from you. And maybe if you want to get in touch with Carel, he is on the social medias, or you can come through me and I can connect you if you want to have a chat to him and get some more advice. But Carel, I want to say a huge thank you for being part of this podcast today.
No, thank you.
And huge luck to Silver Sixpence. It doesn't really need it. It's going to smash it, I know. But thanks for being with us today.
And same to you, Dave. I really appreciate the last, you say 18 months. I think it's 24 to 36, but in that region, really appreciate the journey that you've taken with us. And I'm looking forward to the next decade with you on our side.
I look forward to shaking your hand at the exit.
I'll buy the dinner.
Or that everyone heard, he's buying the dinner and it won't be cheap. Thanks, Carel. We'll chat soon again.
Cheers, Dave. Bye.